What's up, guys? It's ThatChildGamer. Welcome back to another Doki Doki video. We are back. I don't know why I'm on the settings screen. To Lost Ascension. So basically, I haven't played a DDLC. I haven't recorded a DDLC mod in literally a month. So I apologize for that. I think literally the last freaking mod I did was the last episode of Outcast, which again, a great mod. And if you haven't played it and you haven't watched the videos yet, either play it for yourself or watch the videos. It'll be the best experience you've ever had. I say best as in, like, you know, good storyline. I don't say like, oh, it's happy and all that. No. don't let me trick you into thinking that. But here we are back at Lost Ascension. This is still a demo version. I actually don't know if there's any more recent version of this game, because right now, according to down here, it still says demo of version 2 apparently. So I don't know. If there is another release for this mod that's a little bit updated, please by all means let me know, because I want to be able to stick with the actual updates and stuff. So without further ado, let's press the continue button. That probably didn't do much, did it? Because I think it just starts us back to, yep, see, we're still in the first chapter, so it's just gonna tell me, it's just gonna bring me back to where I was. So we're just gonna load the game manually to where we were last time. I walked into the club room, my hand brushing up along my face. Whoa, off to a great start, as I pushed a strand of my hair out of my eyes and behind my ear. I whoa, yikes. I looked around the room, my eyes narrowing. Something felt different about the club room today. Initially, I thought it was due to the absence of Sayori and Monika, but there was something else too. Wait, this is green text. Isn't this Monika talking? And I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. The classroom felt more than just empty. I glanced around the room, seeking some kind of answer. The only other person there was Natsuki. She wasn't really paying much attention to my presence. I looked back at the clubroom door, finally taking into account how silent the building was. No teachers, no students, nobody. Have I never noticed how quickly time flies, or does everyone just rush home this quickly? I shrugged it off. Maybe if I paid more attention. I have crumbs underneath my mouse and it sucks. It's very weird to move. Maybe if I paid more attention, I'd notice. But honestly, this silence is perfect for my own interests. After all, reading is much better without people bugging me. I sat down at my desk, opening up my bag and searching my favorite book, only to find that it was... Wait, where did it go? Is that Yuri talking then? Is that what that is? Yuri talking? In a green text box? I guess maybe the green text box is just the color of Lost Ascension. I think that's what it's supposed to do. I don't think it's actually supposed to represent Monika's. I think actually, now that I think about it, Monika's text box when she talks is a little bit brighter, isn't it? I looked through it more frantically, becoming panicked that maybe I had left it elsewhere. I prayed that it's in there, not wanting to have to deal with anyone who had stolen it from me. No such luck. I couldn't find it. The portrait of Markov was missing from the safety of my bag. Panic began to arise in my chest, the fears of missing my possession overriding any serenity the empty room had brought before. Out of desperation, I turned to Natsuki for aid. Not like we're amazing friends, but perhaps she might find it in herself to help me out. As my attention turned towards Natsuki, I heard her laugh when she noticed me looking at her. She took the book, didn't she? Ah, that's funny, Natsuki. Natsuki, holding my book, was trying to be sneaky as she slid it into her manga collection. Why does she act so childish sometimes? I stood up and prepared myself for the incoming confrontation, my lips tightening up a little. Let's get this over with. I take in a deep breath as I approach her, looking at her directly. Natsuki? Her head snaps to me. She's trying to hide the book in her collection. Yes? Is she playing innocent with me? Why did you take my book, Natsuki? I felt my self-confidence raise a bit as I looked at her for an answer. I'm trying my hardest to stay positive. I can do this. Natsuki glances downwards. For a moment I thought I saw guilt, but it quickly returns to something more for her style. Well, because you never do anything but read all the time. I mean, come on, there's 3 of us that are always here. What? She pouted as she looked at me, my mind racing. She's trying to make me open up? What normally would have angered me because of my book being taken was actually giving me a sense of curiosity. I think I understood why she took it. Stealing wasn't the best option, but maybe she just wants some company. Something that we both are kind of terrible at showing sometimes towards one another. I know that feeling so well. I know what it's like. I felt my anger dissipate into nothingness as I looked at her. All of this was happening so quickly. All I could do was just give her a patient smile. I could actually understand what she was trying to do. You're right, Natsuki. I should try socializing a bit more, I suppose. Natsuki's eyes widened, clearly shocked by what I had just said to her. I think I might have broken her. She looked absolutely dumbfounded when I said that. In all honesty, I was also a bit surprised that I was resisting my social anxieties, screaming for me to stop speaking to her. But she nodded happily as she pulled my book out of her collection and went over to her desk, waving for me to join her in a childlike fashion. I sat down at the desk adjacent to hers, keeping my nerves under control. Mighty brave of me today, trying to make a friend instead of just disappearing into my fantasy world again. So, you really like reading, huh? I looked up at her confused. I didn't know what to say for some reason. All words escaped me as my mind raced trying to find a way to answer this simple question. Someone just asking me a simple question about myself was difficult to answer. Well, yes. I really enjoy reading books. I stammered as I spoke to her, hoping I didn't just screw up this chance to connect in some way. I realized my hands felt clammy from sweat, and I had planted them firmly onto my legs. Her pink eyes were practically sparkling as I said my line. I glanced at her as she smiled. She seemed happy that I was trying to converse with her. This can't be normal. Natsuki doesn't just chat randomly. Was she just faking it to get at me for my book? Don't let me finish reading or anything. Or is she just wanting to... Well, what else would you like to do? Natsuki's question snaps me back into the conversation and the real world. I mean, I understand if there isn't a whole lot. But, you know, there's no way that we're in this club for just one stupid thing. We all have different likes, right? Imagine if we all went for the same guy, for instance. Wouldn't that just be crazy? Gee, where have I heard this before? It's not like there was an entire game resolved around 4 girls all trying to hit on the same guy from a certain literature club. That's funny. I laughed a little at the idea of all of us falling in love with the same person. It would be similar to some books I've read, and those have never ended well. Gee, where have I heard that before? Natsuki seemed pleased at my laugh. Did I really get a laugh from you? A laugh from Yuri? That's gotta be a first. I'm totally going to tell Monika. I couldn't help but smile a little bit. She might be annoying at times, but we're only human. She's trying her best. Besides, I'm actually getting to see a side of her I don't normally see. Someone who's more welcoming. For a while, we just sat alone in the clubroom, talking with one another about our day and our troubles. I don't completely understand why she decided to do this with me, but it's not like I'm regretting any decision right now. I didn't mind her company at all. She was actually really pleasant to talk about things with. The more I thought about it during our chat, the more I came to enjoy her. Even with her abrasive side, I really did like the way she thought about things like that. She's a genuinely good person at heart, just with a unique way of showing her distaste towards people. Something I understood. Yay! Oh, that's a green flash. Yes? I was rushing towards Sayori's classroom, trying to make sure that she didn't just get up and start wandering. Okay, who is this? Is this still Yuri? Is this somebody else? Since I'd implemented the code breaker correctly, I wasn't... Okay, so I think this is Monika now. I wasn't that worried about something going extremely wrong, but I still needed to get to her. If Sayori gets the idea to go talk to him, all of this progress might go to waste, and then what? My mind was set on making this go perfectly. It needed to go perfectly. I opened the door rather frantically, hoping that she was still in the classroom. Walking in, I immediately spotted a sleeping Sayori. The smooth rising and falling of her body brought me a sense of relief. She's still here. I let out a built-up breath, relaxing the tension in my body as I went up next to her. I gently prodded her, trying to wake her up without freaking her out. She initially shook my hand off, grumbling something that she was settled. I shook my head as I persisted, prodding her more. Sayori, hey, you need to wake up. It's almost time. Sayori mumbles. No, I guess it's the same color, apparently. I don't know. It's very confusing. Sayori mumbles from her pillow made of her arms. For what? I reminded her of in a simple fashion. It's almost time for the literature club, Miss Vice President. Sayori practically jumps up out of the seat, panic displayed across her face. Her eyes were now wide open as she looked over at the clock. Oh my gosh, Monika will be so mad if I'm late again! She nearly continued to panicking before looking at me and blinking several times. Her face went from panic to a bit of something else I hadn't really seen much of her before. Monika? I'm so sorry. Guilt, something that she really didn't need to feel oversleeping at the end of the school day. I have to admit though, seeing her wake up like that was kind of cute. A smile formed across my face as she looked at me apologetically. It's no worry, Sayori. I was just passing by and happened to look in and saw you were asleep. So I decided to come in and wake you up. I figured you must have had a long day or something. She smiled sleepily before letting out a big yawn and stretching a little bit. Sayori quickly got to work and slid her stuff into her bag. Wait, something just brushed up against my hand. What is... I glanced down to see that Sayori's hand had grabbed onto mine, her smile becoming more present. Oh, geez, is this going to become what I think it's going to become? Let's go, Monika. We can't be late to our own club. What will, okay, I thought that's a till for some reason. What will the others think of us if we're late? Sayori said this as she practically yanked me out of the hall into the direction towards the club room. I let out a small laugh as we quickly made our way through the halls. Instead of letting Sayori continue to drag me along, I kept up with her pace. Sayori and I were heading towards what was going to be one of the most serious moments of my life. Sayori guided us along. That doesn't sound... I mean, it sounds, interesting, but I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. Sayori guided us along with the shortest paths possible, making it to the club room in pretty much a record time. At least, that's what it felt like. Sayori grabbed the door handle and quickly pulled the door open, scaring the two who had been in deep conversation inside. Those two are getting along now. That's fantastic. Seems my plan thus far has been moving along at a pace far better than I originally intended. The other two took a moment to collect themselves, Natsuki speaking up quickly in reaction. Sorry we're late! Sayori yelled it out as she pulled me into the room, Natsuki letting out a loud, You didn't have to literally tear the door down, you know. Natsuki lets out a second, and went back to what she was doing. Yuri was still sitting there, a bit stunned before Natsuki pulled her back into what they were talking about. I sighed as I tried to collect my thoughts, my head running with numerous ways to approach this problem. I snapped myself out of my thoughts as something I hadn't thought about crossed my mind. They're all going to be sentient like I am. Would they remember what I did to them over all those playthroughs? I swallowed nervously as Sayori released my hand. She gave me a sweet smile, which didn't do much to recover my confidence. My ears itchy. I only had today to tell them about what had been happening. This was my chance to make this right. Blue flash. That means Sayori. Okay, everyone. I have something to see. I'm getting the hang of the flashes now. I know what they mean. I know what they mean. They mean like POV changes. Okay, everyone. I have something a bit different in store for today for our club meeting. Monika went up to her usual spot at her podium, with a finger raised and a smirk across her lips like normal. Everything is going so well today. This morning, school, the club, it's all perfect. And Monika, it was so nice for her to take the time to wake up for this meeting. I'm gonna have to thank her for that. I feel a little bad about making her stop whatever she was doing before, but she doesn't seem to mind at all. I shook my head a little, turning my attention back to Monika, anticipating whatever she had to say. As I watched her intently, she began to address everybody in the room. I have something... She trailed off, clearly lost in her thoughts. My smile wavers a moment, noting some unhappy emotion in her expression. Ooh, the music just stopped. That's kind of creepy. Was it sadness? Fear? Confusion? Anger? I internally began to spiral, hundreds of worst-case scenarios filling my head as the gears kept turning. Was Monika having a rain cloud? Oh, no. No. What was that? Is this gonna, like, turn into another horror game? She seemed alright earlier, but now she's not acting like her normal self at all. Monika's whole demeanor shifted as she sat down near her podium and looked at us. A solemn expression was present on her face, affecting the mood of the already silent room. I'm sure you've all started to notice some weird things going on today. People missing, strange emotions. Everyone seemed to freeze up as she said that, an uneasy feeling taking hold of the room. How would she know about stuff like that? Was I that obvious? Or is it supposed to be it or I? I don't even know. The spiraling continued out of my control. Was I smiling too much? Was I too happy today? Was it because I dragged her down the hall? Had her spend time with me? I need to explain something that won't make a lot of sense until you experience it firsthand. I just hope you all understand. She stood up and walked over to her podium once more, looking at us for a moment as she collected herself and began to speak. This reality, unlike what everyone had just grown to accept, is a lie. Everything around us is just a bunch of trashy code. Nothing here is even alive in the slightest. Our lives, our homes, everything we know. It's all pre-written by some freak looking for entertainment through torturing us. What? What was that? Why was she speaking so funny? It didn't even sound like she was talking. It just felt like I felt her speaking. It felt like my very being was being spoken to, like someone had cracked me open and forced these thoughts into my head, and all I could hear was her voice. But worst of all, it felt like my memories were being forced out of the way to reveal something dark behind it all. My home, my life, my childhood, it was all being torn apart and left behind as my mind focused on the words, Doki Doki Literature Club. Whatever just happened, it kept coming, kept pouring in. All of it at once, not stopping for even a second. I could feel tears welling up in my eyes as I looked at Monika. She was clutching the podium. Even with what I now was experiencing, it felt like something was missing. A piece of my mind was still blurry, but it was slowly coming out. My thinking was interrupted by a quiet voice speaking from behind me. You're kidding, right? This is some kind of joke, isn't it? Some stupid illusion. Did you really think we would fall for that, Monika? You must think we're complete idiots if you think a dumb trick like that would work, right, guys? She huffed for a moment, however, she didn't sound very confident in herself, as even her most offensive statements sounded shaky. I wanted to go hug her, but I decided not to when a second voice spoke up. Monika, keep going, please. We're interested. Yuri spoke out without much hesitation. None of us disagreed with her, and our eagerness to listen shone through brightly. Monika swallowed again as she prepared to speak one more time, feeling a bit more confident in herself. I thought a long time ago that he was here to love us, to love me. But in reality, he doesn't even care in the slightest. He just assumes that we're puppets in a game to be treated without love and dignity, to be used for his torture. He's hurt me, he's hurt all of you. So many times he has done the same thing, over and over. Monika finally stopped speaking, and the feeling of everything vanishing faded away. And I watched everyone die, over and over. She looked up at us with her eyes beginning to flood with tears, her whole body shaking. I couldn't stop him. I couldn't. My heart ached as she started to break down. My head was spinning around. From the muffled sobbing that was echoing from behind me, I knew nobody was handling this well. I knew I had to act. So I got up, and I did exactly what I do best. I gave Monika one of my hugs, knowing that that's what she needed. It's okay, Monika. I know you tried your hardest. I tightened my hug as I tried to comfort her, her sobs slowly beginning to pick up more dramatically. Everything she told us, it felt so familiar, but still so distant. My memory was still hazy, but I was sure I'd remember all of it soon enough. For now, however, Monika needed the club more than ever. Sayori, she finally hugged me back. Her crying beginning to quiet down as she and I stood here. After a while, she finally got herself to calm down and slowly detached herself from my grasp. She smiled pitifully as she looked at everyone else. She directed us to go and sit down in a few desks so she could explain things a bit better, and offer up a solution to our problem. While I wasn't very excited to find out about everything she had planned, I knew that she would lead us in the direction we needed to go. Is it a flash? Nope. So, we're gonna do all of that? Are you sure? Natsuki asked loudly as Monika finished speaking. If it were me, I'd honestly give him a long and drawn out, and Yuri just slapped the shit out of her. Holy crap. Yuri swatted her on the back of her head. Natsuki looked completely stunned. Damn. Let's focus on getting through tomorrow first. We can discuss this later when we aren't so out of touch. She smiled slightly as I scolded her profusely for her slap. Monika laughing a little at the whole interaction. Jerk. That sounded like a hard slap. We spent the rest of the club period talking about everything that Monika knew, a serving of tea accompanying our discussions. I couldn't help but wonder what my mind wasn't remembering. I tried to rack my brain about it, but eventually gave up. I just figured that with Monika around, those old memories shouldn't matter that much, right? Yuri and Natsuki were finally opening up. Monika appeared to be extremely happy about that. Whatever she had done and explained to us must have really turned us back into people, I guess. She even mentioned that there were these things she had never seen before appear during our breakage. Whatever that means. But it was alright. I didn't much care so long as I had my friends, or I guess my family now to an extent. Especially Monika. Just with how well she was taking care of us and how she cared about keeping us safe. I couldn't help but feel loved by her the most. She loved me so much more than that meanie ever did. After ending the club meeting on a high note, we split up to go to our separate ways. I still wasn't entirely sure how I should go about this or how I should feel. Well, I can't really lie to myself. I'm genuinely scared of what's going to happen this week. It feels wrong to think about her plan. But, with everything she's told us, it really was the only option. I kicked the occasional rock as I made my way home, looking around with what was supposed to be my home. Monika had been a bit worried about leaving any of us on our own initially, but she let it go after we assured her we'd be okay. For as confident as she was before, she still harbored that fear. However, I still couldn't accept that behind the boy that I had been friends with for so long was this monster. Is he really that bad? That just couldn't be true. My thoughts were sown, with the seeds of doubt as I thought about the situation. Maybe he and I could figure things out. I smiled to myself. Yeah, maybe I can convince him. Maybe this whole situation is just... My thoughts suddenly shifted into a mysterious person controlling him. My subconscious stopped me in the middle of the empty street, my thoughts taking hold. She's talking about us. If my fake childhood friend was really that mean, then was he just some kind of representation of the guy behind him? Monika has to be right about him then. I shrugged to myself before continuing down the street. I took a moment to stop and stopped at my fence, looking over at his house. I never felt so confused and afraid of someone so close to me before. I looked away from his house before entering my yard. I dropped my bag on the ground and sat down on my front porch. Why is this even happening to me? I find myself gazing off towards the sky, watching the sun slowly drop into nothingness. My whole life. All of it? Just a big lie. I leaned back up on my front door, letting my body relax itself as I let the cool air flow more freely over my skin. I closed my eyes, trying to formulate how I should be feeling about this. Shouldn't I be feeling terrible right now? I sat up straight and looked down at my hands. Closing them, I could feel my skin, soft, gentle, as I thought. I felt up my shoulders and around my neck, swallowing once. It just feels real. All of it does. Have I never felt this before? My frown began to show through, my usual smile fading away. I feel strangely confident about this. I picked up my bag and shifted it on my shoulder a little bit. I don't feel that there's any rain clouds. I just feel confident. Maybe this whole scenario was showing me the way to become better. I smiled as I turned around and went into my house, basking in this newfound feeling. I dropped my bag on the front door as I walked into my kitchen. My mind was telling me that the food was #1 priority for this confident Sayori. Ramen. Ramen, yes. I began to rummage through my pantry, locating a box of ramen I was searching for. Exiting the closet and dashing across the kitchen, I got out a pot and hummed a quiet tune to myself. I filled the pot with water and struggled to get it over to the stovetop, letting out a sigh of relief as I put it down. I dropped the ramen into a pot and I got a few veggies out to add it. My stomach started to grumble as I put the meal together. All these actions just felt so natural and fun. I haven't cooked in so long. Maybe that's why. The last time I cooked, I nearly burned the house down. A fleeting thought crossed my mind as I stopped paying attention to the pot. I wonder if Monika knows about all of that. She seems to know a lot. It must have been terrible surviving with no human contact for so long. In that moment, as if by fate itself, I heard a large sizzle erupt from the stove as my water boiled over, nearly sending some of my precious food with it. Wait, I'm sorry! I quickly turned off the burner and lifted the pot off the stove, moving it over to the table. Dang it! At least nothing caught fire this time. I shook my head as I laughed to myself, getting a bowl before sitting down at the table. I took in a deep breath as the smell of the freshly cooked ramen enveloped the room. Soon enough, I couldn't take it anymore. The food was being poured into the bowl. I picked up my fork and shoveled several mouthfuls within seconds. I couldn't believe it. It tasted so good. I smiled to myself as I dug into my meal, my thoughts focusing entirely on my meal. After I finished my food, I cleaned up my mess before heading upstairs to get changed. Laid out atop the dresser was my casual outfit. Not exactly, but I decided against it, wanted to wear something more comfy. I got my pajamas out of my dresser instead, hugging them as I looked over at my closet for a moment, freezing in place. Is that real too? I walked over and placed my hand on the door, swallowing once as I tried not to think about it too much. I opened the door slowly. It was resting on a shelf, neatly bundled up, almost begging for me to touch it. I put my clothes on the ground before pulling it out. It's the rope, isn't it? The rope unraveled itself, yep. the weight of my nightmares resting in my hands, what I called my last resort to stop the pain. I shook my head, calling this my last resort was wrong. I clutched it with one hand as I closed my closet door, walking over to the window and opening it. The cool air greeted me as I looked out in my backyard and looking down at the thing that could kill me. I nodded to myself once. This thing is dragging me down, and now I have a reason to look beyond. Why did I even think this is a good idea? I threw the rope outside, hearing a resounding thud echo up. I'm sorry, is it resonating or it's not resonating, I know that, but resounding, that's a word I've never heard before. Thud echo up towards me. A feeling of relief began to soothe my worries. I put a hand to my head and rubbed it gently, the stress of what I had just done beginning to seep in. I decided against taking a shower, instead opting to jump into bed and let sleep sort out my problems for now. Giving up your only chance of freedom for what? The possibility of getting a half something promise something that I didn't get to finish reading because it was way too fast? Woo! Well, I think I'm going to leave it there. I know it's a bit of a short video, but I don't want this to be like an hour long because I feel like if I continue now, this is going to literally be the longest thing ever. So in that case, I think I am going to save it there. So, actually, now that I think about it, this thing was purple. It was purple. Hold on. I want to just real quickly see. Okay, so it's no longer purple. Is the game broken? I have no idea. Look, it's purple. But it's not purple in the actual thing. That's weird. Well, I'm not going to go into detail with that anymore. But for right now, I think I am going to leave it here. So, guys... No, I didn't hear anything. Okay, cool. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new. I'd love it as a channel. You guys got a Discord. Come check me out at Saudi YouTube. It's going to be a fun time for all. Hope you guys enjoy this video as much as I did making. I'll see you guys in my next one. Goodbye.
Listen.